So I recently put out a video showcasing the different levels of academic style, from undergrad to PhD to postdoc, all the way to professor, along with some recommendations for what level you should be aiming for if you want to be taken seriously as an academic. If you want to check out that video, it's right up here. But things have changed. We're now in the autumn, and the temperature has dropped slightly. So before you start saying that those outfits I showcased previously just aren't practical anymore, so I thought I'd put together some guidelines on how to dress like an academic, but in the autumn season. Hello, I'm Dean, and I'm on a mission to rebuild the lost art of being an academic. So summer's over, the temperature has started to drop, the wind has picked up, maybe even more rainfall than usual, unless you're in the UK, in which case it's just business as usual. This is what our summers are like. You're probably wondering to yourself, how can I maintain my professional academic style now that we're into the autumn season? 2 words for you: wool suits. The first thing people ditch when it gets a bit colder is the suit, and I understand where you're coming from. Most people aren't really used to wearing suits anymore. They were commonplace not so long ago, but in today's fashion trends of loungewear, they are somewhat unusual to see in day-to-day life. And most people, when they think of a suit, they think of something like a cotton suit, something they probably wore to a summer wedding. And for many people, this is the only type of suit that exists. Well, I'm here to tell you that is not the case at all. You see, when it comes to suits, we have all sorts of materials. Cotton just happens to be one of the most popular and the most common. But now that it's getting colder, let's change this to a wool suit. You see, wool does a much better job than cotton at keeping you warm. So although you might only be wearing a few layers, you'll actually feel quite cozy. But if you find that you do need that little bit of extra warmth, consider adding another layer, maybe a waistcoat or a hidden layer, something like a vest under your shirt. Maybe the waistcoat's not quite your style, but you still do need a bit more warmth when you're traveling into work. Try an overcoat. Personally, I find greys and navies work best here. Keep in mind, for a wool suit, make sure you get a good fit. Okay, something in grey or navy tends to look best. You'll be looking like a true academic, like Dr. Henry Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark. If it feels too formal for you, just lose the tie. That's probably the easiest way to adjust into a bit more of a casual look. Okay, number 2 is knitwear. Maybe you've taken my advice on leveling up your style from t-shirts, which is more undergrady, to maybe an Oxford button-down or a more formal dress shirt. But you need something a bit warmer now that it's getting colder. Do you swap to flannel? Well, you could, but you lose that academic style. So instead, what we're going to do is start to invest into some quality knitwear. You can go for a finer wool, which typically looks a bit more formal, or you can go for something thicker, maybe with a particular weave pattern, which is typically more casual. Okay, bear in mind, the thicker the wool and the bigger the pattern, that's going to be a bit more casual, but you can dress it up with a shirt and trousers. Okay, it's not impossible. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about things like knitted jumpers, maybe even a quarter zip in navy or green, or a buttoned cardigan. That can strike a real academic vibe if it's paired with the right shirt and accessories. You can even throw in a tie. Now, you can go for a turtleneck if the weather calls for it, but beware if the knit is quite heavy and thick. These can be quite hard to pair with other staples like blazers, sports coats. They tend to look a bit better with more casual jackets though. Also, the advantage of cardigans and jumpers over turtlenecks is they are simpler to remove once you reach the office. Maybe you're like me, where you commute to work and that involves quite cold temperatures, but once you actually get to your office, it's roasting, okay? You can't keep all that clothing on. Well, that's the magic of layering. You can remove layers on arrival and stay at that peak comfortable temperature, whether that's removing your overcoat, a blazer, or a cardigan. Easy peasy. Okay, when it comes to footwear in autumn, here are some recommendations. Chelsea boots are an easy win at this time of year. I personally love Chelsea boots. They come in a variety of colors and styles. You can dress them up, you can dress them down. They're very versatile. I've got this is a brown pair of Chelseas. They need a bit of a cleaning up. We also have black, and these would be my more dressy Chelsea boots, okay? You can get suede, and one of my favorites, sort of a dark brown suede here as well. But for autumn, when it's colder and more damp, maybe a bit slippery outside, the thing to pay attention to is the sole, okay? You want a rubber sole. You may get ones that are slightly more formal that have a wooden sole. Not sure if you can see this. This one is an interesting one, so it's a mix of wood, but also it has a rubber lining as well. You will get some Chelsea boots that are just completely wooden. Those are a real slip hazard, okay? It's a bit of a death trap if you go out in Chelsea boots with a wooden sole. Another quick tip, do yourself a favor, stick to leather as opposed to suede. I live in Northern Ireland, unfortunately, where it rains pretty much 3/4 to 90% of the year, so I can only really wear those in summer when I'm guaranteed it's not going to rain. Okay, now we come on to accessories. I'm one of those people who wears sunglasses almost all year round, maybe even more so in the autumn and winter. And why is that? Am I pretending to be Jack Nicholson? No. You see, during these months, the sun is actually lower in the sky compared to summer when it's directly overhead for most of the day. That means in autumn and winter, it's more likely that the sun will actually be in your field of view when you're out and about. So make sure you bring a pair of sunglasses with you so you're not walking around squinting. Most men suit a pair of Clubmasters, some sort of classic style, but don't be afraid to have a bit of fun with different styles. Just bear in mind, more funky styles might not mix with the rest of your academic attire, things like sports coats and blazers and shirts. Now, depending on the exact temperature, you may want to bring along a pair of gloves. Now, you can go for something simple like knitted gloves, but if you live somewhere like the UK where rain is commonplace, you might want to upgrade to a pair of leather gloves for durability. Also, you get the bonus effect that leather just has a more sophisticated look to it than wool or cotton when it comes to gloves. So what did you think of this list of academic autumn essentials? Did I miss anything? Drop your go-to pieces in the comments section down below. And if you're enjoying this kind of content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Lets me know to keep making more content like this, and it tells the algorithm to show this content to people who still believe academics should look impressive. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.